And that is the admonition we must all heed. Whoever you are, wherever you are, how are you nurturing the circle? So I'll give you a little more to think about nurturing the circle. The message that's written this morning is by Reverend Robert Bowler, and it's entitled The Religion of the Circle. As Tom explained earlier, Nicholas Black Elk, who was born in Agala Sioux, was a medicine man. And his life was spent creatively, his long life was spent creatively blending Native and Christian perspectives as a spiritual leader. And I quote from Reverend Bowler, Black Elk described the religion of the circle based on his vision of the whole hoop of the world. He saw the religion of the circle wherever power moves. Everything the power of the world does is done in a circle. The sky is round, the earth is round like a ball. Birds make their nests in circles, for theirs is the same religion as ours. The sun comes forth and goes down in a circle. The moon does the same, both are round. Even the seasons form a great circle in their changing, and they always come back again to where they were. The life of a person is a circle from childhood to childhood, and in everything where power moves. There's another Indian named Chief Seattle, and he's generally regarded as the last great leader of the native bands that lived in the Pacific Northwest. And he lived with simplicity, elegance, and eloquence. Reverend Bolin quotes Chief Seattle, who, as Black Elk said, warned those who were taking the land of his people. And this is a quote from Chief Seattle. This we know, the earth does not belong to us, we belong to the earth. This we know. All things are connected like the blood which unites one family. All things are connected. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the sons and daughters of the earth. We did not weave the web of life. We are merely a strand in it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. Reverend Bowler goes on to say, we have fragmented ourselves from the earth and from each other. Community is an ideal lost, a practice forgotten, an art ignored. He says that religion needs fundamental principles. It inspires worldviews and lives. If our religion is going to be circular rather than linear, holistic rather than fragmented, we need to learn to see ourselves as part of nature, as a circle within a circle. We are very much parts of the whole, inextricably woven into its fabric of interconnectedness. Likewise, our challenge is to weave human circles, sit on the rim with others, and offer respect to all. Fragmentation is so ingrained in our culture and in us that the religion of the circle becomes very difficult to practice. Political maneuvers and power plays end up fragmenting any endeavor to build a community of equals. Any growing confidence and self-respect for those left out of the power of the traditional power arrangements. When two people hold power, they can triangulate a third, shutting them out. When some become an in-group, they build walls to exclude. If one is not white, heterosexual, intelligent, good-looking, physically fit, and usually male, one is usually excluded from the mainstream of our culture. One cannot walk into an institution and become a valued member if one is different. It's easier to conform and perpetuate walls than to open to the rich diversity of human life and make it work in business, in neighborhoods, and in church. Starhawk, who was not a Native American, was a major voice in the feminist spirituality movement, and her writings spurred resurgence of interest in neo-pagan traditions. Her readings are in our UU hymnal. Reverend Bowler explains that Starhawk and others like her are not afraid of the politics necessary to embrace a religion that sees all as part of the circle instead of fragmenting life. Action for change grows out of embracing more of ourselves and more of the earth simultaneously, recognizing that dominance over ultimately fragments. It destroys us as whole beings. It fragments our society as a community and our earth as a living interdependent web. Dominance over, in quotes, divides the people in the room, and it reduces citizens to economic units and subjects to objects. Thus, Starhawk says the religion of the circle must be in the image of the goddess as the living interconnected web. Her politics are strengthened by an underlying network of human connections, a weaving of close relationships that bind it like warp and weft. It is sitting down in a circle and looking at how we are affected by the linear, fragmenting culture in which we live. It is sitting down together and valuing all equally. In her book, Calling the Circle, by Christina Baldwin, The Once and Future Culture. The book offers an art of circling that anyone may learn. Its politics are quieter than Starhawk's, but no less challenging. She talks about creating the space for counsel, for being present to one another in a way that values all those who sit on the rim of the circle. She values the simple act of being valued. It's a powerful event for people today. The circle heals and inspires and nourishes, and it brings people to the place from which they can act together for the good of the whole. Christina says moving our bodies from rows to circles and our self-interests from center to edge enables each of us to reclaim our innate knowledge of circle and carry it forward consciously. Reverend Bowler goes on to say, I have found the deepest spiritual experience in small groups, in adult religious growth, and learning circles. In circling, I find wholeness and health. I find aliveness and spiritual awakening. I find that unity emerges in a group that is greater than the fragmenting pull of our wider culture, and it's greater than the sum of our parts. Circling can be a lifelong spiritual practice. He concludes, I am convinced that we cannot learn to practice Unitarian Universalism as expressed in our principles and sources until and unless we can sit in a circle together as equals. Just like Starhawk's magic comes from deep within the earth and ourselves, the spiritual experience of circling comes from us, from our commitment to the whole and our respect for one another. When we listen well and speak with integrity, we gain the humility to risk personal growth and the openness to draw ever larger circles of love and trust. Magic happens. The group becomes a coherent and unified whole, a community, a basis for real change, a foundation for an ancient but ever new culture. Our meditation and silence are going to be by Megan this morning.
As we enter now into the sacred time and space of meditation, I share with you a prayer, Eagle Poem by Joy Harjo, followed by silence and music. To pray, you open your whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to one whole voice that is you. And know there is more that you can't see, can't hear, can't know, except in moments steadily growing and in languages that aren't always sound, but other circles of motion. Like eagle that Sunday morning over Salt River, circled in blue sky and wind, swept our hearts clean with sacred wings. We see you, see ourselves, and know that we must take the utmost care and kindness in all things. Breathe in, knowing we are made of all this, and breathe, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born, and die soon within a true circle of motion, like eagle rounding out the morning inside us. We pray that it will be done in beauty, in beauty.